Have you ever felt that invisible weight that seems to follow you everywhere? That weight that isn't seen, but that is felt in your silences, in your choices, in your relationships. Perhaps you have felt it without being able to put words to it. This weight, my sister, is often the trace of the wounds that we carry, sometimes even without being aware of it. Wounds that are not always ours, but that are passed down from generation to generation, like a silent memory inscribed in our bodies and in our souls. Today I invite you to sit with me in this moment of gentleness and truth. I am not here to judge your wounds, nor to minimize them. I am here to help you face them, so that together we can understand and begin the path of healing. Because a woman who heals her wounds becomes a free woman, and a free woman becomes a light for all others. Feminine wounds. These invisible scars that take so many forms. Some are the result of what we have experienced: rejection, betrayal, a word that broke us. Others are older, almost ancestral. They come from our mothers, from our grandmothers, from all those women who, before us, did not have the right or the space to heal. And without even knowing it, we carry this weight. We reproduce patterns that do not belong to us. But the beauty, my sister, is that nothing is static. Everything can be transformed. And this journey begins now. In this video, we are going to dive together into the depths of these wounds, not to revive the pain, but to understand it. Because understanding is the first step toward liberation. You will discover how to identify these wounds, how they influence your life, your thoughts, your choices. And above all, I'm going to show you how to begin this path of inner healing so that you can free yourself and uplift yourself. I want you to know one thing. You are not alone on this journey. Every woman in one way or another carries within her a part of these wounds. But by daring to look at them, by daring to name them, you are already beginning to heal them. And this path, as painful as it sometimes is, leads you toward a gentler, more luminous, more free version of yourself. So, stay until the end of this video. Let these words enter your heart like a caress, like a reminder that you deserve healing, that you deserve love, that you deserve to live a life where your wounds no longer dictate your choices. And if this message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, The Wise Woman, to continue walking together on this path of wisdom and light. Because the more of us there are to heal ourselves, the more we uplift our collective energy, and the more we create a world where the wise, free, and fulfilled woman can shine without fear. Feminine wounds are like invisible imprints, deeply etched in our soul and sometimes even in our body. They manifest without warning, in our emotions, our relationships, our life choices, and often we don't understand why we repeat the same patterns, why certain situations hurt us so much, or why we feel stuck despite all our efforts. Understanding these wounds is laying the first stone on the path to healing, because you cannot heal what you do not know, what you have never dared to name. These wounds take root in two main areas. There are those that are born from our own history, from what we have lived since our childhood until today. And then, there are those that do not belong directly to us, but that were transmitted to us, almost silently, by the women in our lineage. Ancestral wounds, inherited from the generations before us, from mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, who carried pains that they never had the opportunity to transform. Rejection is one of these deep wounds, this feeling of never being enough, of always having to do more to deserve love, attention, or simply a place in someone's heart. It can come from a childhood where we did not feel heard, where our needs were ignored, or from later experiences where we found ourselves rejected in a relationship, a group, or even by a society that did not understand our essence. This rejection leaves a mark. It sometimes pushes us to hide, to minimize our light, for fear of bothering or being abandoned again. Abandonment, for its part, is like a raw scar. It makes us believe that we must cling to everything and everyone so as not to be left behind. It nourishes this fear of solitude, this anxiety that pushes us to accept the unacceptable just so as not to be alone. It creeps into our relationships, into our friendships, into our relationship with ourselves, and makes us forget that we deserve a solid love, a true love, a love that begins first with ourselves. Betrayal, as for it, burns differently. It is that wound that is created when the trust we had given was broken. It can be an infidelity, a lie, a broken promise. This wound often teaches us to be wary, to erect walls around our heart. But these walls, no matter how high they are, don't truly protect us. They isolate us and sometimes prevent us from receiving what could heal us: a sincere love, an authentic relationship, a deep connection. There is also humiliation. This wound, heavy and painful, is often born from words that have belittled, from gestures that have been disrespectful, from situations where we felt inferior or ridiculed. It leaves marks on self-esteem and sometimes nourishes a constant fear of others' judgment. This fear prevents us from asserting ourselves, from taking our place, from daring to show the world who we truly are. And then there is injustice, the one that makes us feel that no matter what we do, it will never be enough, the one that pushes us to fight, to struggle relentlessly to prove our worth. It is often born in environments where we have been treated unfairly, or where we have seen women around us be broken, devalued, forgotten. These wounds are not just memories, they are alive. They live in our reactions, in our thoughts, in our daily behaviours. They shape the way we perceive ourselves and the way we perceive others. But there is one thing I want you to understand deeply. A wound is not a condemnation. It is not a foregone conclusion. It is an invitation to dive within you, to understand where it comes from, to recognize the pain it carries, and to choose day after day to transform this pain into wisdom, into strength, into light. Recognizing these wounds is giving yourself permission to see them. And sometimes that is what is most frightening. Because to see is to feel. To feel is to revive emotions that we have long locked away. But it is also the beginning of liberation, because when a woman dares to look her pain in the face, without judging it, without fleeing it, she begins to free herself from the invisible chains that prevent her from moving forward. So, my sister, take a moment to sit down and ask yourself, what are the wounds that I carry? What are these pains that awaken in my silences, in my anger, in my fears? Maybe it's that feeling of not being enough. Maybe it's that constant fear of losing love. Maybe it's that difficulty in trusting, in letting go, in feeling safe. Don't be afraid to name them, because to name them is already to begin to heal. A wounded woman doesn't always recognize herself at first glance. Often she wears her smile like armor, her laughter like a mask. She moves through life thinking that her wounds are invisible, but they manifest everywhere, in her choices, in her silences, in her relationships, and sometimes even in her body. Understanding the signs of a wounded woman is offering her a gentle but sincere mirror, allowing her to see what she feels without judging herself. The first sign, and perhaps the deepest, is the difficulty in trusting. A wounded woman often lives in fear of being betrayed again. She observes everything, analyzes everything, interprets every silence, every gesture, every word. She wants to protect herself, to avoid reliving the pain that marked her heart. So she builds walls around herself, walls so solid that they sometimes prevent beautiful things from entering. This lack of trust is not only directed at others, sometimes it is directed at herself. She doubts her choices, her worth, her ability to deserve love, respect, or success. It is a cycle that seems endless. The more she doubts, the more she closes herself off. And the more she closes herself off, the more she nourishes the isolation that exhausts her. The second sign is self-sabotage or emotional dependency. A wounded woman can, without wanting to, destroy what could make her happy. She thinks she isn't good enough for that job, for that relationship, for this life she desires. So she prevents herself from trying, or she sabotages what she has already built out of fear of failing. Conversely, some wounded women take refuge in an emotional dependency. They become attached too quickly, too strongly, often to people who are not capable of offering them what they need. They cling even when they know, deep down, that this relationship does them more harm than good. Because deep inside they are afraid of being alone, afraid of not being loved if they choose to leave. Blocks in relationships or on a personal level are another sign. A wounded woman can feel an inability to move forward, as if an invisible force is holding her back. In her relationships, this can translate to difficulties in committing, in opening up, or in letting herself be loved fully. She is afraid of repeating the patterns of the past, of reliving the pain of rejection, abandonment, or betrayal. So, she protects herself by avoiding deep intimacy, by maintaining distance, sometimes without even realizing it. On a personal level, these blocks can manifest as constant procrastination, a fear of daring, a tendency to settle for less than she deserves. She dreams of freedom, of success, of peace, but her wounds hold her back in cycles where she feels like a prisoner. Another powerful sign, often ignored, is the recognition of repetitive patterns in daily life. A wounded woman, without wanting to, attracts situations that remind her of her pain. It's as if her unhealed wounds unconsciously call for similar experiences, until she chooses to face what needs to be healed. She finds herself again and again in relationships where she is not respected, in environments where she does not feel safe, or in cycles where she gives more than she receives. It is an invitation from life, sometimes painful but deeply necessary, to understand that as long as the wound is not recognized, it will continue to manifest in different forms. What makes these signs difficult to see is that they are often subtle. Sometimes the wounded woman herself doesn't realize that she is acting from her wounds. She tells herself that it is normal to doubt, normal to be afraid, normal to accept the little she is offered. She convinces herself that she has no choice, that she has to make do, that she has to remain strong and silent. But deep down, her soul knows. It knows that she deserves more, that she needs to free what is chaining her to finally be able to breathe, love, and love herself freely. Recognizing these signs is not a condemnation, it is a key that opens the door to a deeper understanding of oneself. A woman who agrees to see her wounds, who dares to say to herself, "Yes, I hurt here, I sometimes get lost there, I'm afraid of this," begins a path of healing. It is an act of immense courage, because it takes incredible strength to look at yourself without fleeing, without judging yourself, without hating yourself. Each wound carries a message. Behind the mistrust, there is a need for security. Behind the self-sabotage, there is a fear of success, often nourished by old beliefs. Behind the relational blocks, there is a deep desire for authentic connection, but also a fear of being hurt again. And behind the repetitive patterns, there is a clear invitation from life, that of finally choosing oneself, of breaking the cycles to write a new story. Yes, a wounded woman carries a world of pain within her, but she also carries an immense strength, a strength that awakens the day she decides that her wound will no longer define her path, a strength that ignites when she chooses to look at herself with compassion, to reach out a hand to herself instead of judging herself. It is in this gentleness toward oneself that true transformation begins. Inner healing is not a fast or linear path, it is an intimate journey, sometimes painful but always filled with light. Every wounded woman must understand that her wounds are not weaknesses, but doors to a profound transformation. And to walk on this path, there are 4 fundamental pillars: acceptance, consciousness, liberation, and transformation. These pillars are not steps to be checked off one by one, but movements of the soul that intertwine and repeat, each day, a little more deeply. The first pillar is acceptance. It is the foundation of all healing, and yet it is often what seems the most difficult. To accept is not to resign yourself, nor to say that what happened to us was fair. To accept is to say to yourself, yes, I hurt. Yes, I have been wounded. Yes, this experience is part of my story. It is looking at the pain without wanting to ignore it or minimize it. Many women spend years burying their wounds, hiding them under smiles, under responsibilities, or under superficial relationships. But an ignored wound never disappears. It manifests in other ways, in the body, in emotions, in choices that distance us from our true essence. Acceptance is daring to lay your eyes on your truth, without judgment, without shame, with the gentleness you would offer a friend. It is telling yourself that you deserve to feel and understand what is passing through you. The second pillar is consciousness. Healing cannot exist without this light that you place on the origin of our wounds. It is about asking yourself the real questions. Where does my pain come from? Is it an experience from my childhood? An inheritance passed down by my ancestors? A pattern that I repeated without even realizing it? Consciousness is the art of putting words to what, until now, has remained silent. It is understanding that the fear of abandonment we carry can come from a rejection experienced in childhood or even from family stories that do not belong directly to us. It is also accepting that our reactions today are often echoes of these deep wounds. Cultivating consciousness is giving yourself the power to choose. As long as we remain unconscious of our wounds, they direct our lives. The day we identify them, we take back our power. Then comes the third pillar, liberation. If acceptance and consciousness are keys, liberation is the door that opens. To liberate is to unburden yourself of that weight that prevents you from moving forward. And this can be done in 1,000 ways, because healing is never the same for everyone. For some women, it is in forgiveness that they find peace. Forgiving not to excuse, but to free themselves from the toxic bond that still attaches them to their pain. For others, writing becomes a refuge, a sacred space where words allow them to set down what is overflowing. Some talk to a trusted friend, to a therapist, to a spiritual guide, to transform chaos into understanding. Others meditate, reconnect with their body, with their breath to soothe the inner storm. To liberate is to accept that you do not need to carry this burden forever. It is telling yourself, I have the right to put down this weight. I have the right to choose myself. I have the right to breathe. Finally, the fourth pillar, and the most luminous, is transformation. Because healing is not just a return to balance, it is a rebirth. To transform is to take your pain and turn it into strength. It is understanding that the trials you have been through do not define you, but that they teach you. A woman who transforms her wounds becomes a source of light for herself and for others. She no longer denies her scars. She wears them with pride as proof of her resilience. Transformation is that moment when you realize that what broke you yesterday can be the foundation of your wisdom today. It is the courage to say, yes, I suffered, but today I choose to love. I choose to live. I choose to grow. These four pillars are not destinations, but companions on the road. Some days we will move forward with fluidity, in a soothing clarity. Other days we will fall back into pain, into confusion, into doubt. And that's normal. Healing is not a straight path. It is a constant movement, a dance between shadow and light. What matters is not to never fall, but to continue to get back up, again and again, with more gentleness toward yourself. A woman who commits to this path of inner healing discovers a profound truth. She is not broken. She has never been broken. She has been wounded, yes, but her essence, her soul, are intact. Her wounds are only layers to pass through, veils to lift to find that version of herself that has always been there. Powerful, loving, luminous. And there is something profoundly beautiful in this transformation. A woman who heals inspires, even without intending to. Her energy changes, her gaze softens, her presence becomes more anchored, more authentic. She attracts healthier relationships, more aligned opportunities, because she has learned to love herself, to respect herself, to choose herself. Inner healing, ultimately, is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Because as long as we remain prisoners of our wounds, we live in invisible cages. But as soon as we begin to walk on this path, one step after another, even small ones, even hesitant ones, we offer ourselves the most beautiful gift there is, that of becoming free again. Healing feminine wounds requires more than simple awareness. It is a living process that is rooted in concrete actions, in daily rituals that, step by step, allow the mind, heart, and body to reconnect with their natural balance. In this chapter, I will propose powerful exercises to you, simple but deeply transformative. If you practice them regularly, with intention and love for yourself, you will feel your energy free itself, your spirit lighten, and your heart gently open to a new version of you. The first exercise is guided healing meditation. Meditation is not just a moment of calm, it is a sacred space that you create to find yourself, to reconnect with your essence. Settle into a place where you will not be disturbed, seated or lying down, with your back straight but relaxed. Gently close your eyes, inhale deeply through your nose, then exhale slowly through your mouth, as if you were letting go of everything that is weighing you down. Visualize a gentle golden or white light descending upon you and enveloping every part of your body. This light comes to cleanse, to soothe, to repair. Imagine that this light enters the areas where you feel pain or tension and that it softens them, liberates them. During this meditation, you can whisper inwardly phrases like, "I allow myself to heal," "I free myself from the chains of the past," or "I am safe here and now." 10 minutes a day is enough to feel the first effects of peace and lightness. And if one day you feel overwhelmed by emotions, simply return to this meditation. It becomes your inner refuge, your bubble of serenity. The second exercise is the healing journal, a powerful practice for setting down the invisible weight of emotions. Get a notebook that you like, a pen you enjoy writing with, and reserve a sacred space for it. In the morning, or at night before you sleep, take 10 to 15 minutes to write freely what you feel. Don't censor yourself. Don't try to formulate things well. Let your thoughts, your pains, your fears, and your hopes flow onto the paper. You can start with simple phrases like, "Today I feel," or "What's weighing on me right now is." Writing allows the unconscious to be liberated, to shine a light on dark areas that we often keep buried. With time, this journal becomes a witness to your evolution, to your journey toward healing. And in moments when you doubt, rereading it will show you how much you have advanced, how much you have grown, even if the process sometimes seems invisible. The third exercise is positive affirmations. Our mind is powerful, but it is often saturated with negative thoughts, with limiting beliefs inherited from our past or our surroundings. Affirmations are a way to reprogram the mind, to remind it of a new truth. Choose simple phrases, but ones that touch you deeply, like, "I deserve love and respect," "I am worthy of happiness," "My voice matters," "I am strong and resilient," or "Every day I am getting closer to my healing." Repeat them in the morning in front of the mirror, looking into your eyes, even if at first it seems uncomfortable. You can also record them and listen to them before you sleep. The key is repetition. The more you hear and feel these words, the more your mind integrates them, the more your energy changes. Little by little, these affirmations become mantras that accompany you in your daily life and help you reconnect with your deep worth. Finally, the fourth exercise is to ritualize moments of gentleness and self-care. Too often, wounded women give without counting to others, but forget to give to themselves. Yet, to pamper oneself, to respect oneself, is to send a message to your mind and to your body that you matter, that you deserve love. Create rituals that nourish you. A daily walk in nature, a hot bath with essential oils, a moment of silence with a cup of tea, an improvised dance in your living room, or an hour of reading that inspires you. The important thing is to choose gestures that do you good, that reconnect you with your femininity, with your gentleness, with your inner power. These rituals remind you that you are your priority, that you have the right to love yourself and to take care of yourself without guilt. These exercises may seem simple, but their power lies in their regularity and in the intention you put into them. Healing does not happen in a day. It is a commitment to yourself, a conscious choice to treat yourself with love and respect, day after day. What matters is not to do everything perfectly, but to show up for yourself, even in small gestures. With time, you will notice subtle but profound changes. You will feel more anchored, lighter, more aligned with who you truly are. Your relationships will change, your view of yourself will evolve, and what seemed insurmountable to you will become a stage that you have transcended. Never forget, you are your own healer. The tools I am sharing are only keys, but you are the one who carries the door and who decides to open it. You have within you all the strength and all the wisdom necessary to move forward on this path of healing. Trust the process, and above all, trust yourself. Healing is not a straight path, and that is undoubtedly what makes it so beautiful. Every step, no matter how small, brings you a little closer to yourself, to that version of you that is just waiting to blossom. I want you to remember, at this very moment, that it is not speed that counts, but direction. You don't need to understand everything, or to succeed at everything in a single day. This inner journey is built step by step, breath by breath, tear by tear, smile after smile. And every time you choose to get up, to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I deserve to feel good," you are celebrating a victory, even if it seems tiny to you. There will be days of light and days of shadow, moments when you feel strong, and others when you wonder if you are doing enough, if you are enough. And I want to tell you, with all my heart, you are already enough. Everything you are going through today forges that stronger, more luminous, more conscious woman who is emerging from within. Your wounds do not define your worth. They are simply chapters of your story, lessons that invite you to uplift yourself. Remember these words: healing is not a straight path, but every step toward yourself is a victory. If you have to write them on your mirror, put them as your phone background, or repeat them in your heart before you sleep, do it. This gentle but powerful reminder will remind you that, even in the storms, you are always moving forward. And if you are listening to this video today, know that you are not alone. Here, we form a community of women who are walking on this path of consciousness, of gentleness, and of power. Your experience matters. Your words can resonate in the heart of another woman who is going through the same journey. So, I invite you, from the bottom of my heart, to share in the comments what you feel, your story, or simply a thought that uplifts you. It is by sharing our voices that we collectively free ourselves, that we build this sisterhood that uplifts all of us. Before I leave you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to offer yourself this moment. Thank you for opening your heart to these words and for letting them resonate. Thank you for choosing yourself, because choosing yourself is already healing. If this message has touched something within you, don't forget to support this community. Subscribe to the Wise Woman channel. Leave a like to help us share this message of healing, and comment to tell us what you feel. The more of us there are walking this path together, the more our collective light will rise. And above all, remember that you are powerful, even in your moments of doubt. You carry within you that silent strength that always brings you back to your center. Healing is not a destination. It is a dance, sometimes slow, sometimes intense, but always sacred. Keep moving forward. Keep believing in yourself. And remember, every step, no matter how small, is a step of victory. I thank you once again for watching this video until the end. Take care of yourself, love yourself deeply, and never forget that you are a wise woman in the making, already full of light. See you very soon on The Wise Woman, for other sharings, other teachings, and above all, to continue together this path toward feminine wisdom and inner healing.